Hey guys, Haz here at Shield Canine. Today we are going to talk about bite training. Does it make dogs less dangerous or more dangerous to have around children? Now this is a topic we need to talk about. Protection dogs and kids, is it safe? Is it not? A lot of people with a lot of opinions on this. Of course, my opinion is the most valid because I actually have the most experience on a personal and professional level with this topic. I'm talking about in relation to your general Joe Blow. I'm sure there's other professionals out there that have come to similar conclusions that I have. But, you know, it's YouTube, so I get to be hyperbolic. Anyways, guys, there are two reasons I want to talk about this. In a general sense, people need to be educated on this topic. From a specific sense, there was an incident that occurred a couple of weeks ago. I want to talk about it. It really, really bothered me. So don't worry, I will show also some videos of dogs. You don't just have to look at me for the entire video. I think what we should do is we should start with the specific incident that occurred. Okay? So, was it a week or two ago, got a call from somebody that had purchased a dog from us. The dog apparently had bitten their 5-year-old daughter. Now, we weren't particularly perturbed because it didn't sound like the dog had done much, if any, damage beyond some scratches. But we said, by all means, bring the dog in for some training. Now, I know you guys are thinking, well, hold on. One of your expensive protection dogs bit a... No, this dog was a washout. So let me explain. We have litters from time to time here at Shield Canine. We always like to hold some puppies back from each litter, and we like to raise these puppies. And if, when the dogs hit 8 to 10 months, they come back from the puppy raiser and we like the dog, we will begin to train the dog for a role, either as a police dog or a protection dog. Now, for those of you wondering why we use puppy raisers, you know, the puppy raiser is important because they expose the dog to everyday life. Sights, sounds, surfaces, kids, cats, other dogs, whatever. Basically, the dog gets to see everything that he or she is probably going to see throughout their daily life in whatever job they're called upon to perform. And you don't get that same experience living in a kennel, right? Or it's more difficult to provide that experience, let's say. Now, we get the dog back. We get our dogs back between 8 and 10 months, and then we usually do a little testing, figure out what's what and the what, and then decide what to do with the dogs from there. Now, we got a dog back about 1.5 years ago from the raiser, and unfortunately, he had floppy ears, so his ears weren't fully erect, though they did become fully erect a couple months after selling him, but at the time they weren't fully erect, which is a problem. Nobody really wants German Shepherds with slightly floppy ears, unfortunately. And number two, he didn't have much drive. And he certainly didn't have the can-do King Kong mentality that we want in our working dogs. He was kind of a social, goofy, you know, soft, biddable puppy with floppy ears. So unfortunately, it wasn't going to work. We realized that real quick after some basic testing. And we decided to sell him as a pet dog. Now, here's the deal. With a dog like that, you know, we're not going to train him. We're not going to put too much time into training him beyond the puppy raise, which actually does cost us money. So we just decided, we'll sell him for $1,000. No problem. It's enough money to make sure that whoever's buying him probably has the means to look after him, feed him, vet him, you know, all the things a normal dog needs. But it's not so much that it discourages the average person from you know, giving him a good home. And we just, at this point, want that dog to have a good home. Long story short, that's been about 1 year plus, 1.5 years. We get a call a couple weeks ago. Like I said, dog bit our daughter. Very surprising. And I'll tell you why it's surprising. Because we knew the dog when we got him back at 8 to 10 months, and even as a puppy. Very social dog. Wasn't a mean, nasty kind of dog. We also know that combination, because I repeated that combination between that particular male and that particular female a number of times. And the dogs, almost every one of them, lives in family situations and are very stable, easy, social dogs with mediocre drive, right? Not my cup of tea, because there just wasn't enough drive there for me and not enough intensity, but a lot of people like that combination because they were such easy dogs. Now, I actually think that dog has a litter mate who is a police dog who does live with children. Go figure. And I know he has numerous litter mates who are personal protection dogs or just dogs we sold as puppies that live with children as well. No problems, right? Actually, the owners really, really like those dogs. They're very family-oriented dogs, let's say. So we're very surprised because we knew the dog, and he certainly wasn't oriented to do that type of stuff. Anyways, no problem. Bring him in. Bring him in. We'll help you. We'll train him. You know, worst case scenario, we can always take him back, right? I was 99% sure when I heard it that it was owner error, let's say, because a dog like that doesn't just get to that place out of nowhere. A lot of things had to happen for it to progress to a year. You know, for a year, the dog lived there without any issues. Then all of a sudden, in a few months, we've got a situation where bites are occurring. It makes no sense, right? So I knew it would be something that was relatively easy to fix. Unfortunately, we did not hear back from this individual until they started cropping up on our social media, commenting on some of our posts. The first post I saw them comment on was a post where we were showing one of our trained protection dogs, who also ironically lives with kids. It's the one of the Malinois. I'll post it there so you guys can kind of see it. And the Malinois doing the muzzle work. And they said, oh, it's too bad that you sell these dogs to people that have children because it's not safe and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what the heck? Oh, we have one of your dogs. And, you know, I was like, what? You have a washout? We didn't do any of this with your dog. Your dog couldn't do this. That's what people don't understand. In order to do bite work, it takes a special kind of dog. It's not something you could just do with any dog. If your dog could do this, why would I have sold it to you for $1,000? You know how much I sold that? I'm not even going to tell you guys how much I sold that Malinois for, right? He was not cheap. He was like, he cost as much as a car, okay? Dogs of that caliber are not cheap. Dogs that can do that are not common. That training is not easy training, all right? Your dog certainly did not get any of that stuff done, right? You got a nice social puppy that was a washout, okay? Here's the thing. Then this individual posts in another place that they put the dog down and it's all our fault and blah, blah, blah. I was just flabbergasted. You put the puppy down? You put him down? What kind of a garbage human are you? Why wouldn't you even try to get the dog training? Why wouldn't you bring the dog back? Bring him back. We'll take him. It won't be a problem for us. We'll deal with it. Right? I very much doubt that he has some unsolvable issue. It's pride. That's what it is. You've decided, you're not a professional. You've never trained a dog to do bite work. You know, you don't know anything about dogs. I mean, you can't even control this little soft puppy we gave you. But you're going to determine what his problem is. Or maybe some other idiot on the internet or some behaviorist or something told them this. Who knows, right? There's a lot of people that don't do things in dogs that talk about those things as if they know. And they really don't. Here's the thing with bite work, okay? So anyways, long story short, that problem, that really bothered me. That we had entrusted this person with our dog, and we had assumed that the dog was going to have a good, long, and happy life, just like all his litter mates. And instead, the dog, unfortunately, gets an early grave from the sounds of it. I mean, I hope they're not telling the truth and that the dog wasn't put down, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, it sounds like that poor thing was killed, right? Needlessly, because you were too proud to get the help from the people that actually know what they're talking about, you know, the people that actually produce the dog, that know everything about the dog. I know everything about him, his mother, his father. I spent years with both of them, his brothers and sisters. I've trained so many of them, right, to various levels. And you just killed him. You mismanaged him and you killed him, because it doesn't get to that out of nowhere. Kid doesn't just get bit out of nowhere. It's not something where the dog just snaps. That's not how it works, especially with a German Shepherd. There were 1,000 things that went wrong before that ever happened, right? So anyways, that's what occurred that really bothered me. Now, let's talk about general, okay? So I'm going to start with showing you guys a video. This is a video of a dog that we imported from Slovakia. His name is Car. You guys can see him do some bite work here. Okay, so he's doing the bite work. Now you can watch him collect a Christmas tree with the 2 children and his family. Look at him having fun with them. Look at him being not aggressive with them. He's been there now, I think, well over a year. They love him, right? He's great with the kids. Most every dog I sell, right? Most every trained protection dog I sell goes and lives with children. Most of my clients are clients with kids of varying ages. A lot of the time, they even have another pet. Okay? So needless to say, it wouldn't be particularly good for business if my dogs were going and nailing the kids, right? And I'll tell you this, the protection dog industry in general, which is a very big industry, all throughout North America, almost every vendor, their primary client are families with children, women and children. Okay? If these dogs were more dangerous because of bite work, there would be an epidemic of people getting sued, of dogs getting put down. The word would be out, right? This business has been going on for decades. This is not like some new thing, protection dogs. They've been around for a long time, right? So obviously, if bite work created a dog who was much more dangerous to children, you would see the results of that. But forget protection dogs. Let's talk about dual-purpose police dogs. A lot of those live at home with the handler. They live with the handler's family. They often live with the handler's children. Not all of them, but a lot of them do, right? These are dogs that actually go and bite people for a living, right? They do other things, I know, but they also do that, all right? This dog here, you're going to see a picture of a dog. I'm going to post him. This dog, I talked about this dog before. He fought a bear, okay? He lives with 2 little boys. He loves them. And he did a lot of bite work here. He loves those boys. He would never hurt those boys, right? And that dog that I just showed a picture of is a full littermate to the dog that this idiot put down. Anyways, point being, when you look at even sport dogs, there are hundreds of thousands of sport dogs that have bite training to various degrees throughout North America and Europe. Bite sports, it's a pretty big thing in dogs. A lot of people do them, okay? German Shepherds, Malinois, Dutchies, Dobermans, Bucerons, the Schnauzers, the Bouviers, that kind of stuff. You see a lot of people doing the bite sports. Hundreds of thousands of these dogs throughout North America, throughout South America even. They're all throughout the world. Bite sports everywhere now, okay? These dogs, many of them, live with children. There is no epidemic of sport dogs biting kids. It's just not a thing, right? These are not small dogs. If they were biting kids, there would be a big problem. Kids would be really, really hurt. Kids would be dying, all right? Now, I don't want to get it twisted. There are certainly some working dogs that are extremely dangerous. There are some dogs that have bite training that are extremely dangerous. But here's the kicker. It's not because of the bite training. It's because of the dog. And that's what people don't understand. I want you guys to think of it from a human perspective. Someone that has some form of combat training. Very small percentage of the population. But the average person that has combat training, there is no correlation, let's say, between criminality and combat training. Right? People that are prone to acts of senseless violence, right? AKA crime, or acts of violence for bad reasons, crime, right? There's no correlation between that and combat training. Because you have combat training doesn't make you more likely to be a criminal. If anything, the inverse is true, right? Why is that? I'll tell you why it is. Because the level, first of all, it takes work to get any kind of combat training. It takes work, it takes commitment, it takes energy, and it takes discipline. It takes a certain type of mentality to go out there and engage in that type of training for any length of time to the extent that you would become actually proficient at it. Those traits and criminality don't generally go together, right? Not always, for sure. There are certainly some criminals that, have extensive combat training and they're even more dangerous criminals for that reason. But in a general, when we're speaking in general, and we're speaking in terms of, does it make you more or less likely to be dangerous? I think most people would agree that combat training does not make somebody more dangerous to random people around them or to their family or so on and so forth. It's no different with dogs. You cannot train any dog to do bite work. Even in a litter, right? I would say, depending on the litter, there's always a huge disparity between the level of bite work that some dogs in the litter can achieve versus others. Some dogs can't even do it, period. I've certainly seen litters where there's a banger in the litter. He is a monster in every capacity. And he's got a litter mate that can't be anything more than a pet that you could release in a kindergarten, right? That's what you guys have to understand. All bite work does, protection training does, is we're taking what's already in the dog, we're molding it, and we're directing it. A lot of people confuse dangerous behavior in dogs, unstable behavior in dogs, with the ability to do protection. You know how many times I get someone call me, oh, I got this dog, and he's bit a couple people, and he's real nasty, and I want to do protection with him. No. Hell no. Right? You've got an unstable, out of control dog. Why the hell would I be doing protection work with you? Not that he probably could do it, because usually when dogs are doing that type of thing, that lack of stability, that lack of confidence that they have actually hurts them in the bite work process. They cannot do bite work properly, right? Because bite work takes a lot of confidence. It requires a certain level of clarity in the dog to be able to do it to any kind of level where it's useful. And that's what people don't understand. They just say, oh, they're training dogs to bite. Listen, if I could just train any dog to bite, I wouldn't wash dogs out. I'd keep them all, I'd trade them, and I'd sell them. It doesn't work like that. Here's the other thing. If my dogs were biting my clients' children, I wouldn't be in business for very long. A big part of the job is picking the right dog for the right family situation. Now, I've done a video somewhat on this before where I talk about things like drive levels, sociability, thresholds, all these types of things. There are certainly working dogs. There are even dogs that I've produced here. They are some nasty customers. I would never put those dogs in a family situation, my own or anyone else's. But there are many dogs that can do bite work that have the perfect temperament to live in a family situation, but also have the capacity to do protection training and bite work. Just like there are many police dogs like that, just like there are many sport dogs like that, so on and so forth. My personal dog, Gage, there are videos all up and down my channel of him doing bite work, right? I'm not even going to bother to post them. You guys can see them all, right? Yet that dog lives in this house with my 1-year-old son crawling on the floor and my 4-year-old son. The dog I have, Dizzy, the Malinois. My son does everything in the book with her, right? Wrong. And she loves him, right? She's been on the bodysuit numerous times, right? She's not a monster by any stretch, but you guys get the, she's had bite work. So this individual that had a puppy from me that was a washout, that at best maybe, I can't even remember, but very unlikely. I mean, we didn't keep the dog long, right? But maybe bit like a puppy sleeve once. That's not why the dog turned on your daughter. The dog turned on your daughter because you mismanaged it. Here's the reason. Here's the thing with dogs and kids. People don't understand this. I've trained a lot of dogs and I've seen a lot of dogs with kids. So I watch them and dogs that have problems with kids generally treat those kids. So like most dogs view kids, like small kids, not big kids, but small kids, the same way that they would view another dog, right? They treat them the same. It's very interesting. And I think it might be just where their heads are at. So like they're kind of on the same head level. So they're like, well, I'm used to seeing other dogs on this level, and dogs are kings of context, right? Everything, they like to put things into contextual boxes, right? So, kids on my level, therefore, he must be another dog. I'm going to treat him the same way. I've seen that a lot. So, a lot of the time you'll see dogs that are really good with other dogs that they live with tend to really be good with the kids. And then dogs that are bad with the kids tend to also be a little bit nasty with other dogs that they live with. I've seen that correlation one hell of a lot. It is important that when you have a dog in your house with small children, that dog understands there is no correlation between my children and other dogs. My children are something different. They are something special. They are something to be respected. Of course, you don't set the dog up for failure. That's another conversation. There are many people that do so many stupid things with their kids and with their dogs, and they set their dogs up to fail with those children repeatedly, and maybe sometimes they do, right? But that's another topic. Suffice to say that your dog doing bite work, Here's the only way I could think of to make a dog more likely to bite children doing bite work. If I could get like a little suit, like a suit that would fit like maybe like a toddler, like a little bodysuit that would fit a toddler, and then do like a lot of bite work, with like a toddler, put some hidden equipment on the toddler, send the dog on the toddler a lot, and really get the dog super intense around like small children, with a lot of repeated exposure and work and putting kids in different scenarios and letting the dog go after them. That would be one way, I guess. I don't know anyone doing that, though. So, enlighten me if there is. I'm certainly not. My dogs only bite men. They do not bite children. I will never, ever do bite work with children. Even for fun, I don't do it. Right? Dogs should never bite children, in my opinion. I don't think it's a picture I ever want the dog to see. Not that, listen, people don't understand this. Dogs, remember I said that dogs are kings of context? The biggest problem with protection dogs and even patrol dogs is getting the dog to engage reliably. Did you know that? All that bite work training, and you still need to really worry about whether or not the dog's going to engage. Because dogs are very contextual. Well, he's not waving that stick I'm used to seeing. He's not, wearing that equipment I'm used to seeing. I'm not wearing my special protection harness. We're not on the field that I do protection at, right? Dogs are very, so if I get a dog in that's only, let's say, done bite work for a year on a sleeve, and I introduce one day the bodysuit. Everything else can be absolutely the same, but I just put on a bodysuit and I say, all right, you bite this. The majority of dogs actually struggle to make that transition from the sleeve to the suit. Many of them won't even engage, right? And you have to kind of convince them to do it, right? Not all of them, but many of them. I want you to think about that. That's when I'm trying to get the dog to bite me, and he's saying, no, I don't want to, but we've been biting for a year, and you've been biting the sleeve, and now all I'm asking is you to bite this bodysuit that I'm wearing. I don't want to. And then you convince them to do it, right? It takes a while. Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not like bang, right? Not in all cases. Some cases, yes. And it's the same thing with anything. Oh, if the dog's used to only biting the bodysuit, you put on a hidden sleeve, and you say, well, there's no visible equipment on me, and I'm not acting like a decoy. I don't have a stick, a clatter stick, anything. I'm sitting down over here. Come nail me. You know how many dogs struggle with that? Right? And I'm a professional dog trainer. There's a lot of, and I guarantee you, other dog trainers are struggling with this one as well. It's not that it's impossible. It's just that it's a process. You go through it, and you show the dog all these different pictures to try and create a dog that will engage under various situations that he or she may encounter. Especially when you're doing protection dogs, it's more defensive. Like police dogs, you're teaching more offensive mindsets. Like go get that passive guy that's sitting over there 100 yards away and not moving, things like that. But protection dogs, we're selecting dogs that are a little bit more defensive in nature, and we're training in a more defensive way. It's not so much offensive, right? And that's what people don't understand. Dogs are so contextual. Somehow you guys are managing to get your dogs to bite your kids. And by you guys, you know what I'm saying, right, guys? So, maybe you missed your calling. You should have been a dog trainer, right? Protection dog trainer. You can get any dog to bite your kids. Congratulations, right? I think you guys get what I'm saying here. So, it's not just, he learned to bite a sleeve once, so now he's a danger to everybody around. No, it doesn't work like that. It's the propensity of the dog. There are many dogs I turn down here for bite work because I can see the lack of stability in the dog. So I know even if the dog can manage to scrape together the nerves to do the bite work, the outcome is not going to be ideal. So I don't do it. I like doing bite work with stable dogs, with driven dogs, with dogs that want to be there, that want to do that, and dogs that aren't, a danger to society at large. Okay? So I hope that this helps you guys understand a little bit the dogs, protection dogs, why it doesn't make a difference if you do bite work with the dog. It doesn't change the personality of the dog. Just like if you were a certain type of person and you went and you did MMA for a year, you're not going to become a different person, right? You're always going to be the same person that you always were. You just now you know how to jab and cross, and maybe you can wrestle and scramble a little bit and hit a leg kick or something like that. Maybe you're a little more confident, but you're not a different person, right? Your propensity for violence isn't any more or less than it ever was, right? So I want you guys to understand it from that perspective. I hope I've helped you guys with this. I think and to the woman, I cannot believe you put that dog down. It was a little, like it was a puppy. I cannot believe you did that. That is sickening. Do not post that on social media. That is something you should be very embarrassed about.